The space around Earth's solar system had been quiet for millions of years. Stars twinkled in the darkness and planets moved in their slow dance around the sun. Nothing had ever disturbed this peaceful corner of the galaxy. Then everything changed. A flash of bright light appeared near the edge of the solar system. Then another. Then thousands more. The flashes grew bigger and brighter until they became massive ships. 10,000 warships appeared out of nowhere, filling the dark space with metal and lights. Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Glory. He was tall and thin, with blue-gray skin and 4 arms. His yellow eyes stared at the small blue planet in the distance. This was Earth, home to the humans. His computer screens showed him everything he needed to know about this world. "Admiral," said his weapons officer, "our scouts were right. The humans are very primitive. They have only a few small ships near their planet. Their biggest vessel is smaller than one of our fighters." Kethvar smiled, showing sharp white teeth. "Perfect. This will be easy." He had conquered 12 worlds in the past 5 years. Each time the aliens had surrendered quickly when they saw the size of his fleet. Some had tried to fight, but they all failed in the end. The human world looked peaceful from this distance. White clouds covered parts of the blue surface. One small moon circled around it. Kethavar's sensors could see cities on the night side, glowing with simple electric lights. The humans didn't even know his fleet was here yet. "How many ships do they have?" Kethavar asked. "Our count shows maybe 50 vessels total," replied the sensor officer. "Most are clearly research ships or cargo haulers. We detect no military vessels of significant size." Kethvar laughed. 50 ships against 10,000. The humans probably thought they were alone in the galaxy. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "Open a channel to all ships," Kethvar ordered. "Begin standard approach formation. We will take our time with this one. Let them see us coming." The Imperial Armada began to move. The ships were huge and dark, built for war. Each one was longer than the tallest human buildings. They carried weapons that could destroy cities with single shots. Their shields could stop any attack the humans might try. As the fleet moved closer to Earth, Kethvar thought about his orders from the Emperor. The humans had something the Empire wanted. Their planet was rich in water and rare metals. More importantly, it was in a perfect location for controlling this part of the galaxy. Once the humans surrendered, Earth would become another Imperial colony. "Sir, we are now close enough to scan their planet properly," said the science officer. "Population appears to be around 8 billion. They have achieved basic spaceflight but haven't traveled beyond their immediate solar system." "Good," Kethvar said. "The more primitive they are, the easier this will be." The Admiral walked to the front of the bridge and stared out at Earth. It really was a beautiful planet. Blue oceans, green land masses, and white ice caps at the poles. It would make a nice addition to the Empire. "Prepare the standard surrender message," Kethvar ordered. "Send it on all frequencies they might be using." A few minutes later, the communications officer nodded. "Message ready, sir." "Send it." The message went out across space, reaching Earth at the speed of light. It was the same message Kethvar had sent to every world he had conquered. "People of Earth, this is Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrian Imperial Navy. Your world is now surrounded by 10,000 warships of the Imperial Armada. You have one rotation of your planet to surrender completely. Submit to Imperial rule and your people will be allowed to live as subjects of the Empire. Refuse and your world will be destroyed. You cannot fight us. You cannot hide from us. You cannot escape us. Choose wisely." Kethvar leaned back in his command chair and waited. Usually primitive worlds sent panicked messages within hours. They would beg for mercy, offer everything they had, promise to obey without question. It was almost boring how predictable they were. "Sir," said the communications officer, "we are picking up increased radio traffic from the planet. They appear to be discussing the situation." "Of course they are," Kethvar said. "Let me guess. Panic, fear, arguments about whether to fight or surrender? That appears to be correct, sir." Kethvar had seen it all before. First came panic when they realized they were not alone in the galaxy. Then fear when they understood how outmatched they were. Some would want to fight anyway, but the smart ones would convince them it was hopeless. "Any response to our message yet?" Kethvar asked. "Not yet, sir. But it has only been 3 of their hours. Primitive worlds often need time to organize a response." The Admiral nodded. He was in no hurry. His ships were holding position just outside the humans' detection range until recently. Let them stare at his fleet and understand their situation. Fear was a powerful weapon. While they waited, Kethavar studied the intelligence reports about humans. They were a young species, maybe 200,000 years old. They had only started using metal tools a few thousand years ago. They had achieved flight less than 200 years ago. Spaceflight was even newer for them. Interesting species, Kethavar said to himself. The humans seemed to fight each other a lot. Their planet was divided into many small nations that often went to war. They had even developed weapons that could destroy their own world. Very primitive thinking. Sir, we're getting more detailed scans of their ships now, reported the sensor officer. They appear to be mostly scientific vessels. Some are clearly designed for research, others for moving cargo between their planet and moon. Any weapons? Kethavar asked. Nothing significant. Simple projectile weapons, basic energy systems. Nothing that could scratch our shields. Perfect. Kethavar had worried that the humans might have some hidden technology, but they were exactly what they appeared to be. A primitive species that had barely started to explore space. Admiral, the communications officer said, we're receiving a transmission from the planet. Finally, Kethavar straightened in his chair. Put it on the main screen. A human face appeared on the screen. It was an older female with gray hair and dark skin. She wore what appeared to be some kind of military uniform. This is Admiral Sarah Okafor of Earth Defense Command, the human said. Her voice was calm, which surprised Kethavar. Most primitive species were crying or screaming by this point. We have received your message, Admiral Kethavar. We request a meeting to discuss terms. Kethavar smiled. This Admiral Okafor seemed to understand the situation. Smart. It would make things easier for everyone. Very well, Kethavar replied. Send a small delegation to my flagship. We will discuss your surrender. Understood, the human said. We will send representatives within 12 hours. The screen went dark. Kethavar was pleased. No dramatic speeches about freedom or independence. No threats about fighting to the death. Just a simple acceptance of reality. These humans might be primitive, but at least they weren't stupid. Maintain current positions, Kethavar ordered his fleet. Begin preparations for planetary occupation. This should all be finished by tomorrow. The Admiral looked out at the small blue world one more time. Soon it would fly Imperial flags and serve Imperial needs. Just another easy victory for the unstoppable Zephyrian Empire. Deep inside Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado, alarms were ringing. Red lights flashed in the underground command center as hundreds of people rushed to their stations. The mountain had been hollowed out decades ago to protect America's most important military computers from nuclear war. Now it served a different purpose. Contact confirmed, shouted Lieutenant Davis from his monitoring station.
10,000 objects, sir.
They matched no known spacecraft designs. Admiral Sarah Okafor walked calmly through the chaos. She was 62 years old and had spent her entire career preparing for this moment. Her gray hair was pulled back in a tight bun and her brown eyes were sharp and focused. She had been waiting for this day for 20 years. Size and disposition? She asked. Largest vessels are approximately 2 kilometers long. They're holding position at the edge of our solar system in standard invasion formation. Admiral Okafor nodded. It was exactly what the war games had predicted. She pressed a button on her wrist communicator. This is Okafor. Activate Protocol 7. Authorization code Alpha 77 Delta. Around the world, hidden systems came to life. In buried bunkers, on dark satellites, and in secret bases, humans had been preparing for first contact. But not the kind of first contact that science fiction movies had imagined. Ma'am, said Colonel Martinez, her second in command. Global Defense Council is requesting immediate video conference. Put them through. The main screen showed the faces of leaders from around the world. President Chen from the North American Federation. Prime Minister Singh from the European Alliance. General Petrov from the Russian Republic. Admiral Tanaka from the Pacific Coalition. They all looked worried, but none of them looked surprised. Sarah, President Chen said, please tell me our people are ready. As ready as we can be, Madam President, Admiral Okafor replied. All hidden assets are coming online. Our deep space monitoring stations have been tracking them since they entered the system. What do we know about them? Asked Prime Minister Singh. Colonel Martinez stepped forward. Based on their ship designs and formation patterns, they match the profiles we developed from the Roswell incident. Most likely Zephyrian Imperial Navy. The Roswell incident. Most people thought it was just a weather balloon or a government cover-up. The truth was much more interesting. In 1947, a Zephyrian scout ship had crashed in New Mexico. The pilot had died, but the ship's computers were intact. For 78 years, humanity had been studying that technology. They had learned about the Zephyrian Empire, their expansion patterns, and their military tactics. They had learned that Earth was on the Empire's target list. Most importantly, they had learned that the Empire always underestimated primitive worlds. "Have they made contact yet?" General Petrov asked. "Standard surrender demand," Admiral Okafor said. "Same pattern they've used on 12 other worlds. They want our submission within 24 hours. "And our response?" President Chen asked. Admiral Okafor smiled for the first time since the alarm started. "We're going to give them exactly what they expect. Fear, panic, and eventual surrender." The world leaders looked confused. Admiral Tanaka spoke first. "Sarah, please explain." "The Zephyrians have conquered 12 worlds in the past decade. Every time they follow the same pattern. Show overwhelming force, demand surrender, accept submission, and move in to occupy. They've never faced real resistance because they only attack primitive worlds." Colonel Martinez brought up a holographic display showing the alien fleet. "But ma'am, they do have 10,000 ships. Even with all our preparations." "Miguel, how many of those ships are actually combat vessels?" Colonel Martinez checked his data. "Roughly 3,000, ma'am. The rest appear to be troop transports, supply ships, and colony vessels." "And how many ships do they think we have?" "Based on what they can see. Maybe 50 small research vessels." Admiral Okafor walked to the center of the room. "The Zephyrians are bullies. They're used to picking on planets that can't fight back. They scan a world, count the ships, and assume that's all there is. They never look deeper because they've never needed to." She gestured to the display. "What they don't know is that those 50 ships they can see are just decoys. Our real fleet has been hiding for decades." The truth was incredible. Since 1947, humanity had been preparing for war. Not just any war, but specifically war against the Zephyrian Empire. They had studied every piece of technology from the crashed scout ship. They had learned how Imperial sensors worked, what they looked for, and how to hide from them. The International Space Station that tourists could see was just for show. The real space infrastructure was invisible. Weapon platforms disguised as space junk. Manufacturing facilities hidden inside hollowed-out asteroids. Research stations that looked like dead satellites. "Ma'am," said Captain Rogers from the lunar base, "Moon Base Alpha is ready. All weapon systems are charged and hidden. The Zephyrians still think we're just a research facility." Admiral Okafor nodded. Moon Base Alpha was humanity's greatest secret. From space, it looked like a small scientific outpost with maybe 100 people. In reality, it was a fortress with 5,000 personnel and weapons that could destroy starships. "What about the Mars colonies?" she asked. "All hidden installations are operational," reported Dr. Kim from Mars Command. "The Zephyrians can see our surface domes, but they have no idea about the underground cities." President Chen leaned forward. "Sarah, are you absolutely certain we can win this?" Admiral Okafor was quiet for a moment. "Madam President, the Zephyrians are more advanced than us in many ways. Their ships are bigger, their weapons are powerful, and they have centuries of experience. But they have one fatal weakness, which is, they're predictable. They've won every battle the same way for so long that they can't imagine losing. They see primitive worlds as helpless victims. They never consider that a primitive world might be pretending to be helpless." The conference room was silent. Everyone understood what Admiral Okafor was saying. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology. It was the ability to be underestimated. "We've had almost 80 years to study them," she continued. "We know their ship designs, their tactics, their technology, and their weaknesses. Most importantly, we know they always accept surrender meetings. They like to see their enemies submit in person." Colonel Martinez looked worried. "Ma'am, you're not thinking of going aboard their ship?" "That's exactly what I'm thinking. Dr. Vasquez and General Torres have volunteered to accompany me." Dr. Elena Vasquez was humanity's leading expert on alien technology. General Marcus Torres was the head of Special Operations Command. Both had been training for this mission for years. "The plan is simple," Admiral Okafor explained. "We go aboard their flagship pretending to negotiate surrender. While we keep them distracted, our infiltration systems will map their entire fleet." She brought up another display showing tiny devices smaller than dust particles, nano-infiltrators. invisible to their sensors, capable of taking control of any computer system. Dr. Vasquez developed them based on Zephyrian technology, but improved far beyond anything they have. General Petrov shook his head. This is very risky, Admiral. If they discover your plan, then we fight them the hard way. But if this works, the war will be over in minutes instead of years. President Chen made the final decision. Do it, Sarah. The fate of humanity is in your hands. Admiral Okafor saluted. Yes, ma'am. All stations, this is Admiral Okafor. Begin final preparations for Operation Lighthouse. God help us all. Around the world and throughout the solar system, humanity prepared for the most important battle in their history. They had spent decades hiding their true strength. Soon, the galaxy would learn what humans were really capable of. The shuttle Olive Branch drifted slowly through space toward the massive Zephyrian flagship. From the outside, it looked like every other human spacecraft the aliens had seen. Small, simple, and obviously primitive. The hull was painted white with blue Earth symbols, making it look peaceful and harmless. Inside, Admiral Sarah Okafor sat calmly in the pilot's seat. Beside her were Dr. Elena Vasquez and General Marcus Torres. All three wore simple blue uniforms that made them look like diplomats instead of warriors. They had practiced this moment hundreds of times in simulation. Zephyrian flagship, this is the Earth vessel Olive Branch requesting permission to dock, Admiral Okafor said into her radio. Permission granted, primitive vessel, came the reply in accented but understandable English. Proceed to docking bay 7. You will be escorted upon arrival. Dr. Vasquez checked her equipment one last time. Hidden in her diplomatic bag were devices that looked like simple data tablets and recording equipment. In reality, they were the most advanced infiltration systems humanity had ever built. Each device contained billions of nanomachines smaller than viruses. Remember, she whispered, act impressed by their technology. Ask lots of questions. The longer we keep them talking, the more time our little friends have to spread through their systems. General Torres nodded. He was carrying what appeared to be official surrender documents and Earth's historical records. Hidden among the files were detailed scans of every Zephyrian ship they had encountered, plus complete tactical analysis of Imperial battle strategies. The shuttle shuddered as it entered the flagship's docking bay. Through the windows, they could see the inside of the alien ship. It was enormous. The docking bay alone was larger than most Earth buildings. Hundreds of smaller craft were parked in neat rows. Impressive, Admiral Okafor said out loud, knowing the aliens were listening to everything. I've never seen anything so large. That was a complete lie. Humanity's hidden shipyards had constructed vessels twice this size. But the Zephyrians didn't know that. As they walked down the shuttle's ramp, a group of alien soldiers surrounded them. The Zephyrians were tall and thin with blue-gray skin and 4 arms. They wore elaborate uniforms covered in medals and symbols. Their weapons were clearly advanced energy rifles. Welcome aboard the Eternal Glory, said the lead soldier. I am Commander Vextar. You will follow me to Admiral Kethvar. The humans walked through corridors that stretched for hundreds of meters. Everything was made of dark metal decorated with golden designs. Computer screens showed star maps and ship status reports. Alien crew members stopped to stare at the primitive humans. Dr. Vasquez made sure to look amazed by everything. Your technology is incredible, she said to Commander Vextar. How do you power a ship this large? Fusion reactors, the alien replied proudly. Each one produces more energy than your entire planet uses. What he didn't know was that human ships used quantum reactors that made fusion power look like campfires. But Dr. Vasquez acted impressed while secretly recording every detail about their power systems. They entered a massive elevator that carried them up through the ship. General Torres counted floors and memorized the layout. The elevator had transparent walls that showed the ship's interior. Engineering decks, weapon batteries, crew quarters, and command centers were all visible. Your ship is like a flying city, General Torres said with fake wonder. This is just one ship, Commander Vextar said. We have 10,000 vessels in our fleet. Your entire world could not build even one of them. Another lie they had to pretend was true. Earth's hidden shipyards had already built a fleet that would shock the galaxy. But for now, humanity had to act weak and helpless. The elevator stopped at the command deck. They walked through more corridors until they reached the bridge. Admiral Okafor had seen pictures of Zephyrian command centers, but the real thing was still impressive. The bridge was huge, with dozens of workstations and massive view screens showing space outside. Admiral Kethvar sat in a chair that looked more like a throne. He was larger than the other aliens, with darker skin and more elaborate clothing. His yellow eyes studied the humans like a cat watching mice. "So," he said in a deep voice, "you are the leaders of this primitive world." "I am Admiral Sarah Okafor, representing Earth's unified government," she replied. "These are Dr. Elena Vasquez, our chief scientist, and General Marcus Torres, our military commander." Kethvar laughed. "Military commander? General, how many soldiers do you command?" "Approximately 12 million personnel across all branches," General Torres replied truthfully. The alien admiral laughed even harder. 12 million. I have more soldiers than that on this ship alone. Your entire military could not crew one of our smaller vessels. The humans looked appropriately intimidated. In reality, Earth's military was much larger and better equipped than what General Torres had admitted. But the aliens didn't need to know about the hidden armies, the secret bases, or the weapons that could level mountains. "Please sit," Admiral Kethvar said, gesturing to small chairs that had been brought for the humans. "Let us discuss your surrender." Dr. Vasquez opened her bag and pulled out her recording devices. To the aliens, they looked like simple human technology. She placed them on the table and activated them with subtle hand gestures. "With your permission, Admiral, I would like to record our discussion for Earth's historical archives," she said. "Of course," Kethvar replied. "Let your people remember this day when they became subjects of the Empire." What he didn't realize was that Dr. Vasquez had just released billions of nano-infiltrators into the ship's air system. The tiny machines were already spreading through every corridor, seeking out computer terminals and communication arrays. They would remain invisible to Zephyrian sensors while quietly taking control of every system on the ship. "We understand that resistance is hopeless," Admiral Okafor said. "But we hope you might show mercy to our people. They have never known war on this scale. Your people will be treated fairly as long as they obey Imperial law," Kethvar replied. "Those who resist will be punished. Those who serve the Empire loyally will prosper." General Torres pulled out what appeared to be Earth's surrender documents. "We have prepared a complete inventory of our world's resources and military assets," he said. "Everything is here." The documents looked impressive, filled with charts and numbers. They showed Earth's population, industrial capacity, and military strength. Every number was carefully calculated to make humanity look weak but useful. Admiral Kethvar barely glanced at the papers. He was more interested in studying the humans themselves. "Tell me," he said, "do your people fear death?" "Very much," Admiral Okafor replied. "We are a young species. Most humans have never seen real violence," another lie. Humanity had been fighting wars for thousands of years. Earth soldiers were experienced, tough, and well-trained. But the aliens expected primitive peoples to be afraid, so the humans acted afraid. While they talked, Dr. Vasquez's nano-infiltrators were working throughout the ship. They found the main computer core and began copying everything. Ship designs, weapon specifications, crew lists, communication codes, and tactical databases were all downloaded and transmitted to hidden receivers. The nanomachines also found something else: the complete roster and locations of every ship in the Imperial fleet. Within minutes, tiny invisible infiltrators were spreading to thousands of other vessels through supply tubes, communication links, and docking connections. "Admiral Kethvar," Dr. Vasquez said, "your technology fascinates me. Would it be possible to see some of your scientific equipment? As a researcher, I would love to learn from your advanced civilization." The alien admiral smiled. He enjoyed showing off Imperial superiority. "Commander Vextar, give these humans a tour of our laboratories. Let them see what real science looks like." For the next 2 hours, the humans were shown through the ship. They asked simple questions and acted amazed by everything they saw. The aliens enjoyed explaining how much more advanced they were than primitive humanity. What they didn't notice was that Dr. Vasquez's recording devices were actually quantum computers, more powerful than anything on the alien ship. Every system they observed was being analyzed, copied, and understood. Humanity's scientists would soon know more about Zephyrian technology than the Zephyrians themselves. When the tour ended, they returned to the bridge. Admiral Kethvar was reviewing Earth's surrender documents with his staff officers. "Your terms are acceptable," he announced. "Your world will become an Imperial colony. Your people will work for the Empire. Your resources will serve our needs. In return, we will not destroy your civilization. Thank you for your mercy, Admiral, Admiral Okafor said with a bow. When will the occupation begin? Tomorrow. My fleet will take positions around your planet. Resistance is futile, so I trust your people will cooperate. The humans gathered their belongings and prepared to leave. Dr. Vasquez made sure to pack her recording devices carefully. The nano-infiltrators had finished their work, but she had to maintain the act until they were safely back on their shuttle. Admiral, she said as they reached the door, I have one small request. As a scientist, would it be possible to observe your fleet's demonstration of power? We have never seen weapons of such magnitude. Kethvar smiled cruelly. An excellent idea. Tamordon was breaking over Luna Base 7 when Admiral Kethvar gave the order. The small research station sat in a crater on the moon's surface, looking peaceful and innocent. Solar panels glinted in the sunlight. Communication dishes pointed toward Earth. To any observer, it appeared to be exactly what the humans claimed, a simple scientific outpost. Target acquired, reported the weapons officer aboard the Zephyrian destroyer Iron Fist. The ship had moved into position exactly as planned, close enough to Earth that billions of humans could see what was about to happen. Admiral Kethvar sat in his command chair aboard the flagship Eternal Glory, watching through his view screen. He wanted the humans on Earth to witness Imperial power. Fear was an excellent tool for controlling primitive species. All human personnel have been evacuated from the base, Commander Vextar reported. Our scanners show no life signs. Excellent, Kethvar replied. We are not monsters. We destroy property, not people. He opened a communication channel to Earth. Admiral Okafor, are you watching? The human admiral's face appeared on the screen. She looked pale and worried, exactly as expected. We are watching, Admiral Kethvar. Please, is this really necessary? Your people must understand their situation, the alien admiral replied. This demonstration will prevent future bloodshed. One destroyed base now saves thousands of lives later. Admiral Okafor seemed to understand. Yes, Admiral. We are broadcasting your demonstration across our entire planet. Everyone will see the power of the Imperial Navy. Perfect. Kethvar smiled as he thought about billions of humans watching their moon base destroyed. After this, there would be no talk of resistance. Earth would submit completely. Fire, he ordered. The destroyer Iron Fist had been built for destruction. Its main weapon was a plasma cannon capable of melting through solid rock. The weapon charged up slowly, building energy for maximum effect. A red glow appeared at the front of the ship, growing brighter and brighter. On Earth, people watched through telescopes and cameras. News broadcasts showed the alien ship preparing to fire. In secret command centers, human military leaders held their breath. This was the moment they had been waiting for. The plasma cannon fired. A massive beam of red energy lanced across space, striking Luna Base 7 with incredible force. The beam was so bright it could be seen from Earth without telescopes. Where it hit, metal and rock turned instantly to vapor. The explosion was spectacular. Rocks flew in all directions. A cloud of glowing gas expanded from the impact site. When the smoke cleared, Luna Base 7 was gone. Nothing remained but a crater filled with melted stone. Magnificent, Admiral Kethvar said with satisfaction. Send that recording to every human government. Let them show it to their people. He opened the channel to Admiral Okafor again. The human woman looked shocked and terrified. Her hands were shaking as she stared at the destruction. Do you understand now? Kethvar asked. This is what happens to those who oppose the Empire. Your base had no weapons, no shields, no defenses. It was destroyed in seconds. Yes, Admiral Okafor whispered. We understand. Good. Tomorrow my fleet will begin the occupation of your world. Prepare your people to welcome their new rulers. The communication ended. Admiral Kethvar leaned back in his chair, pleased with himself. Another world conquered without real violence. The humans had seen Imperial power and would submit peacefully. What he didn't know was that Admiral Okafor was no longer afraid. In fact, she was smiling. Earth command to all stations, she said over the secure channel. The aliens have just made a terrible mistake. They destroyed Luna Base 7, which was exactly what we wanted them to do. In the secret command bunkers, human officers looked confused. Colonel Martinez spoke for all of them. Ma'am, how is destroying our base a good thing? Because Luna Base 7 was not our real moon base, Admiral Okafor explained. It was a decoy. The real Luna Base Alpha is hidden 2 kilometers underground. We built Base 7 on top of it to hide our true capabilities. The truth was even more amazing. Humanity had been playing a shell game with the aliens from the beginning. Every installation the Zephyrians could see was fake. The real military bases were completely hidden. "Ma'am," said Captain Rogers from Luna Base Alpha. "We recorded everything. The alien weapon took exactly 4.7 seconds to destroy the decoy base. Our defensive systems can absorb that much energy easily." Admiral Okafor nodded. "Perfect. Now we know exactly how powerful their weapons are. Dr. Vasquez, are your infiltrators ready?" "All systems compromised," Dr. Vasquez replied from her laboratory. "We have complete control over every ship in their fleet. Just give the word." For 18 hours, billions of nano-infiltrators had been spreading through the Imperial fleet. They had invaded every computer system, every weapon, every engine. The aliens had no idea their entire armada was now under human control. "Admiral," said General Torres, "all hidden assets are in position. Earth Defense Fleet is ready to decloak. Mars Defense Station is online. All orbital platforms are charged and targeted." The moment of truth had arrived. For almost 80 years, humanity had been preparing for this day. They had built weapons in secret, trained armies in hidden bases, and developed technology that would shock the galaxy. "This is Admiral Okafor to all human forces," she announced. "Operation Lighthouse is now active. Show these invaders what humanity is really capable of." Admiral Kethavar was reviewing occupation plans when his ship's alarms began ringing. Red lights flashed on the bridge as officers rushed to their stations. "What is happening?" he demanded. "Sir, we are detecting massive energy signatures from the human planet," the sensor officer reported. "Something is powering up down there." "Impossible. Their power systems are primitive." "Sir, the readings don't match anything in our databases. The energy levels are incredible." Admiral Kethavar stared at his screens in confusion. According to his sensors, the human planet was suddenly generating more power than a star. That was impossible. Primitive worlds didn't have that kind of technology. "Admiral," the communications officer said urgently, "we are receiving a transmission from Earth." "Put it through." Admiral Okafor appeared on the screen again, but she looked different now. The fear was gone. Her eyes were hard and determined. Her voice was calm and confident. "Admiral Kethavar, thank you for the demonstration. Now we would like to provide one of our own." "What are you talking about?" Kethavar snapped. "Your world has surrendered." "No," Admiral Okafor replied. "Our world has been preparing. For 78 years we have been getting ready for your arrival. We knew you were coming. We knew how you operate. We knew you would underestimate us." Kethavar felt the first touch of real fear. "You are bluffing. You have no weapons that can threaten us." "Really? Computer, show Admiral Kethavar what he missed." The view screen changed to show space around Earth, but it no longer looked empty. Thousands of human ships were suddenly visible, emerging from hiding places throughout the solar system. They were sleek and deadly, clearly designed for war. "Impossible," Kethavar whispered. "Where did those ships come from?" "They were always here," Admiral Okafor explained, hiding in the shadows, waiting for this moment. "Did you really think we would put our entire fleet where you could see it?" The human ships were unlike anything in Zephyrian databases. They moved with impossible speed and grace. Their energy signatures were off the charts. Some of them were larger than Imperial dreadnoughts. "Admiral," his weapons officer reported, "our targeting systems are malfunctioning. I cannot lock onto the human vessels." "Then fire manually." "Sir, our weapons are not responding." "None of our weapons are responding." Admiral Kethavar's blood ran cold. He looked at his displays and saw red warning lights everywhere. "Engines offline. Weapons offline. Shields offline. Life support flickering. Engineering report," he shouted. "Sir, all our systems are failing. It's like something is rewriting our computers from the inside." Admiral Okafor's face reappeared on the screen. "Admiral Kethavar, meet humanity's greatest achievement. We call them nano-infiltrators. Invisible machines smaller than your cells, capable of taking control of any computer system." "When?" Kethavar demanded. "When did you do this?" "When our delegation visited your ship yesterday. Dr. Vasquez released billions of them into your air supply. They spread to every ship in your fleet through your own communication networks." The alien admiral stared in shock. His entire fleet was dying around him. Ships that had conquered worlds were now helpless, their systems controlled by an enemy they had dismissed as primitive. You have exactly 10 seconds to order your fleet to stand down, Admiral Okafor said. Shut down all weapons, lower all shields, and prepare to be boarded. If you refuse, every ship in your armada will be destroyed. You cannot destroy us all, Kethvar snarled. Even if you control our computers, you cannot. He never finished the sentence. At exactly 3.7 seconds after Admiral Okafor's ultimatum expired, every ship in the Imperial fleet began to die. It happened faster than thought. Fusion reactors destabilized in perfect cascade path. Space around Earth was filled with debris and emergency beacons. Where 10,000 Imperial warships had once threatened humanity, now only wreckage remained. Escape pods drifted among the ruins, carrying the survivors of the greatest military disaster in galactic history. Admiral Kethvar floated in his personal escape pod, staring through the small window at the destruction. His flagship, the mighty Eternal Glory, was gone, split in half when its own weapons fired into the reactor core. He was alive only because the human nanomachines had been programmed to preserve life support long enough for evacuations. This is impossible, he whispered to himself. How could primitives defeat the Imperial Navy? His pod's communication system crackled to life. Imperial survivors, this is Earth Defense Command. Medical and rescue ships are approaching your positions. You are now under human protection. Through his window, Kethvar could see the human rescue fleet approaching. The ships were beautiful and advanced. Nothing like the primitive vessels his intelligence had reported. They moved with grace and purpose, their hulls gleaming in Earth's sunlight. One of the rescue ships approached his pod. It was larger than an Imperial destroyer, but shaped like an elegant bird. Gentle tractor beams pulled his pod into a docking bay filled with other survivors. Kethvar had expected to be treated as a prisoner or executed as an enemy. Instead, human medics were waiting to help injured aliens. Admiral Kethvar? A human woman approached his pod as it opened. She was young, with kind eyes, and wore medical robes. I'm Dr. Sarah Chen. Are you injured? No, Kethvar replied, confused by her gentle tone. You are not going to execute me? Dr. Chen looked shocked. Execute you? Of course not. You're a refugee now. We're here to help. The concept made no sense to Kethvar. In Imperial space, defeated enemies were killed or enslaved. But these humans were treating their former attackers like guests. Alien survivors were being given food, medical care, and comfortable quarters. Doctor, Kethvar said as she checked his health, I came here to conquer your world. I threatened to destroy your people. Why are you helping me? Because that's what humans do, she replied simply. War is over. Now comes healing. As Kethvar recovered in the medical bay, he watched through windows as the rescue operation continued. Hundreds of human ships were working to save every alien life they could find. They treated wounded Zephyrian soldiers with the same care they would give their own people. Admiral? A familiar voice made him turn around. Admiral Sarah Okafor stood in the doorway, no longer wearing the simple diplomatic uniform from their first meeting. Now she wore the complex dress uniform of Earth Defense Command, covered with medals and symbols that spoke of real military experience. Admiral Okafor, Kethvar said weakly, I suppose you have come to gloat over your victory. Actually, I came to apologize, she replied, pulling up a chair beside his bed. What we did to your fleet was necessary, but I take no pleasure in the destruction. Kethvar stared at her in amazement. Apologize? You defended your world against invasion. Yes, but many good soldiers died today. Soldiers who were following orders, just as I follow mine. Their deaths were unavoidable, but that doesn't mean I'm happy about them. This was completely outside Kethvar's understanding of warfare. Imperial commanders celebrated victories and showed no mercy to enemies. But this human admiral seemed genuinely sad about the battle she had won. I have questions, Kethvar said. I imagined you would. Ask them. How long have you known about the Empire? Admiral Okafor smiled sadly. Since 1947. One of your scout ships crashed in our desert. The pilot died, but the computer systems survived. We've been studying Imperial technology and tactics ever since. 78 years, Kethvar whispered. You have been preparing for this day for 78 years. My grandfather worked on the original research team. My father helped design our first hidden shipyards. I've spent my entire career preparing for your arrival. The scope of it was incredible. 3 generations of humans working together, planning for a war that might never come, building weapons in secret, training armies in hidden bases, all while pretending to be a primitive, helpless world. Why did you not reveal yourself sooner? Kethavar asked. With technology like yours, you could have warned the Empire away. Because warning you would have told you we were a threat. The Empire doesn't negotiate with threats. It destroys them. Our only advantage was that you thought we were weak. Admiral Okafor was right. If the Empire had known Earth possessed advanced technology, they would have sent a much larger fleet. They might have bombarded the planet from a safe distance instead of trying to occupy it. How advanced are you really? Kethavar asked. More advanced than you in some ways, less in others. Your ships are individually more powerful than ours were when we started this project, but we've had almost 80 years to improve on your designs. A nurse brought Kethavar food and water. The meal was simple but good, better than what many Imperial prisoners could expect. Admiral, he said after eating, what happens now? To me, to my survivors, to the Empire? That depends on you, Admiral Okafor replied. We've sent a message to your Emperor explaining what happened here. We told him that Earth is now under human protection, and any further attacks will be met with appropriate force. The Emperor will be furious. He may send a larger fleet, we hope not. War benefits no one, but if he does send more ships, we'll be ready. Kethavar thought about the weapons he had seen, human technology that could take control of Imperial computers, ships that appeared out of nowhere, defenses that had turned his mighty fleet into scrap metal in seconds. The Empire will want to study your technology, he warned. They will try to duplicate your nano-infiltrators. Let them try. What they don't know is that our nano-machines were programmed with a complete understanding of Imperial systems. They won't work on any other technology. Another surprise. The humans had designed their ultimate weapon specifically to fight the Zephyrian Empire. It was useless against anyone else, but perfectly suited for this exact battle. Admiral Okafor, Kethavar said, I need to understand something. You could have destroyed my fleet without warning. Killed all of us before we knew what was happening. Why did you give us time to evacuate? The human admiral was quiet for a long moment. Because we're not the Empire, Admiral. We don't believe in unnecessary killing. War is about protecting what you love, not destroying what you hate. Over the next few days, Kethavar learned more about humanity than he had ever wanted to know. The survivors were housed in comfortable facilities on Earth's moon. They were given access to communication systems, entertainment, and even educational programs about human culture. Dr. Elena Vasquez visited him several times to explain how the nano-infiltrators worked. She showed him the tiny machines under powerful microscopes and explained their programming with genuine enthusiasm for the science involved. The fascinating thing, she said, is that they're based on your own technology. We just made them smaller and smarter. General Marcus Torres discussed military tactics with Kethavar, sharing insights about the battle that had destroyed his fleet. The human general treated him like a fellow professional, rather than a defeated enemy. Your formation was excellent for intimidation, Torres explained. But it left you vulnerable to coordinated system attacks. If you had spread your ships out more, it would not have mattered, Kethavar replied. Once your machines were in our computers, we were helpless. True, but the principle remains important for future operations. Future operations. Kethavar realized that the humans were sharing military knowledge with him. They were treating him like an ally rather than a prisoner. After a week of recovery, Kethavar was brought to a meeting room where Admiral Okafor waited with several other human leaders. Maps of the galaxy covered the walls, showing Imperial territory and the locations of other alien civilizations. Admiral, Okafor said, we have a proposal for you. I am listening. The Empire has conquered 12 worlds in the past decade. According to our intelligence, 3 more invasions are planned. We would like your help in contacting those worlds. Kethavar was confused. You want to warn them about Imperial attacks? More than that. We want to offer them protection. The scope of what the humans were suggesting was enormous. They were talking about challenging the entire Zephyrian Empire, not just defending Earth. Admiral Okafor, the Empire has thousands of worlds, millions of ships. You cannot fight them all. We don't want to fight them all, she replied. We want to offer them a choice. Join the Empire and be subjects, or accept human protection and remain free. And if they choose protection, then humanity will defend them the same way we defended Earth. Kethavar thought about the destruction of his fleet. Human technology that could disable any Imperial ship. Weapons that could appear from nowhere. Defenses that were invisible until activated. The Emperor will never accept this challenge, he said. Then the Emperor will learn that there are consequences for bullying primitive worlds, Admiral Okafor replied. The age of easy conquest is over. Thank you for watching and comment for next part.